couple of years ago, through Abrams Comic Arts, Alex Ross released this modern masterpiece graphic novel called Fantastic Four Full Circle. Well, just recently they released the expanded edition, oversized and packed with great content. Stay tuned while I put this under the microscope and show you why this is the definitive edition of this great book. And watch this video until the end. And we're back. My name is Taylor. This is Taylor Talks Comics. Whether you're watching this on the Organic Price Books YouTube channel or the Taylor Talks Comics YouTube channel, I do ask that you give the video a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. So today we're talking about Fantastic Four Full Circle, the expanded edition by Alex Ross. This, to me, I already bought the previous edition that came out, the hardcover, and I loved it. I called it the magnum opus of Alex Ross. Of his career, I always think of like magnum opus, that terminology. I equate it to a creator who has had a long career and they've worked out and experimented with all these different types of art styles and things, or writing techniques, storytelling techniques, and they encompass it all, put it into the soup of what becomes their masterpiece, their magnum opus. Together you can see all the influences, all the things put together in that one book. So you might think that Marvel's or Kingdom Come is like Alex Ross's best work or most popular work, but this to me is his magnum opus. And this book itself blows the previous edition out of the water. If you're going to own Fantastic Four Full Circle, you have to get this edition. First of all, it's massive in size, massive in scope, and includes everything you would want to know about Fantastic Four Full Circle. The other one had a little bit of back matter to it, but this thing is a massive tome. You can see how thick it is. Let's take a look at the spine. It is done on the same material, if you're familiar with like the Hellboy library editions. It's kind of like that kind of texture technique in here. On the cover, it's like that fabric technique, or fabric media. I can't even talk today. But here's the great spine. You get for it, and here's the back cover with the new designed Fantastic Four logo, which is debossed from Alex Ross. It did come with a leaflet, which I just folded up so I can keep it inside the book. That is wrapped up with that leaflet inside. But like, yeah, just go back to the spine. This is how thick it is. This story is only 64 pages. The Fantastic Four Full Circle story is only 64 pages. So you can see how thick this is compared to the previous edition. Now, a few size comparisons real quickly. Your typical Marvel DC omnibus, by comparison, you see it's much taller than and much wider than it. Here's a trade paperback, which is like your standard size comic book. It's that size, and then here is an absolute edition from DC Comics to see how it's going to measure up. Here's out of the slipcase, the absolute edition. You can see it's still taller than and wider than it. I guess here's the slipcase too, if you want to know how it's going to fit into your shelf. So it's very much oversized, which is wonderful, because this artwork is, in my opinion, the best artwork of Alex Ross's career, hands down. I love the cover. It really invokes and shows off that black light kind of look to the coloring and the artwork that Alex Ross would play with on the inside. Here are the in papers. And I have to say again, this is done by Abrams Comic Arts, as the publisher of this, not Marvel Comics. In papers on front and back are the same. Here's the title page, and then it starts right into the story. Now, if you had the previous edition, this was actually the dust jacket, was where the story began, which is kind of a cool storytelling device that they used with that one, but it's just included in here. And then we get into the story. And here is the absolute beautiful artwork. This is a 64-page story that Alex Ross tells. And there's so many Easter eggs throughout here, which I'll get to a little bit later. But just real quickly, one thing, like here's like a piece of art from Jack Kirby. This was actually shown on the background on a wall of the Fantastic Four, their headquarters, in a Jack Kirby story. And Alex Ross even put like Kirby's signature on it to make it look like it's like they have a painting of an artist named Jack Kirby on the wall, which is really cool. But look at this amazing artwork by Alex Ross. Now, full disclosure, I have not always been the biggest Alex Ross fan. Now, he is an absolutely talented artist. I'm not saying that when I wasn't the biggest fan of him, I'm not saying he's not talented. It's just my style of comic book art that I enjoy is, first of all, stop here. These like Lovecraftian H.R. Giger like monsters coming out of here, just amazing stuff. But back to my original point, my style of comic book art that I really, really enjoy is not so hyper realistic. Alex Ross has always had like the Norman Rockwell kind of style to his art. I think that was even like his like goal was like, I love Norman Rockwell. He's a big fan of him, and I want to see comic books done with that kind of art style, which is great. Totally blew the comic scene away in the early 90s with Marvel. It's like totally destroyed what people think of what comic book art can do and be, and I loved it. But it was just a hyper realistic style that didn't do it much for me. I love that it was this new and different thing, but I prefer to have more of a pure cartoonist or pure different style to it that's not so hyper realistic. Like a Jack Kirby art style to it was not super hyper realistic. But it was right around the time that Alex Ross started doing the Immortal Hulk covers is when I really became a fan of his artwork, and I was like, okay, now he's doing different things. Now he's getting into like body horror and showing and bending the figure, showing different things, like really stretching his muscles as an artist. And that's when I was like, I'm a huge Alex Ross fan now. This new style, this new modern era of Alex Ross is like my favorite. All the covers he's been doing with Marvel the last few years has been amazing, and this story itself blew my mind. I don't know how this isn't held up there with like a Dark Knight Returns or Watchmen as like this magnificent, like groundbreaking story. My only thing I can think of is because there's so many comics out there these days. It goes with all media, TV, movies. Like there's so much out there to watch and consume that things don't get the kind of like traction that they used to, like when Marvels was a big deal or Kingdom Come. But that's another topic for another day. But there's so many Easter eggs in here. Like this right away, I recognize this from the Kirby blacklight poster from the 70s. I think they released those. He's kind of harkening back to that. But there's so many things in here, which I'll get to. So this story is amazing. Absolutely worth the money just to buy the story, just to read the story. But this book in itself, I love the oversized nature of it. I love the nightmarish imagery too, like when they go into the negative zone, like this image of an Annihilus too is just I love so many of these things I'd want on a poster. But like I love the blacklight poster aspect to it. Like a lot of this, you feel like you can see it painted on a van in the 80s with a metal band. Like this picture of an Annihilus is amazing. Like every page is like this work of art that you just want to like pour over and soak in every little detail. And that's the end of it. But we're not done with the book, because that's the story, and this is the back matter. I'm not even don't have. So this is like the extras that are included in the expanded edition. That's just the story itself, and every page of the extras is worth reading and poring over. So, beginnings and apologies. This is where Alex Ross is talking about how he's being humble for sure, but he's like, I don't know who wants to read all this back matter, who would actually want to consume this. But Alex Ross, if you're watching this, everybody wants to consume this, because if you're an artist or a creative of any kind, this is so much great stuff in here to read from Alex Ross. And it actually kicks off with This Man, This Monster. Issue number 51 is included in this book. It was not included in the first one. Now, why that's important is this story, full circle, is kind of a sequel to issue number 51 of Fantastic Four. Now, if you're not familiar with the Lee Kirby Fantastic Four run, please, by all means, familiarize yourself with it, because it's one of the greatest runs of comics. But this issue is what Jack Kirby and Stan Lee both called separately one of their favorite issues of comics they ever did. Now, you can imagine the scope of that with the two legendary figures of that kind. Absolutely amazing story, and they include like this full scanned-in edition of it in this oversized nature, and it's done with the true coloring. I would recommend, if you have not read this issue and you buy this expanded edition, to skip over the story and read this first. I understand why they didn't start off the book with it, because it's a full circle book. It'd be kind of weird to start off with this old comic. But if you have not read this issue, it's a one and done story. You don't have to have read anything before or after it to understand it. Totally perfectly read and just one and done. And it'll make a lot of this make more sense, because you're going to see a lot of characters and story bits from this issue that Alex Ross plays with in his full circle story. Brilliant story. I can't say enough good things about this one. Now we get to the process stuff. We start off with this early, I don't know, it doesn't put an age to it. I wish he did put an age to this for Alex Ross. I don't think it says, yeah. But this is like early childhood drawing of the Fantastic Four. Compare that to what he's doing like now. It's like amazing as art has grown that much. But I love seeing early art from artists too. It's one of my favorite things to see. Now we get some character designs that he's worked out, some old artwork of different things. Like he did this cover for this homage cover of Fantastic Four #1 back in the day. Here's him building a project where he worked on some character designs and ideas, because he had this idea for this project a long time ago. This never came to fruition. And you get like all these inspirations in here too. So like he found this like Fantastic Four full color album. The cover kind of inspired him. This old, I think it's a Spanish or French edition of this monster with this crazy different looking color to it, which kind of informed a lot of the black light color we see throughout this book. You see like the Fantastic Four full circle title lettering that he came up with was kind of inspired by the Fantastic Voyage movie poster. Here's all him working out different types of title lettering as well. Like if you're a creative, especially in comics, like this book is just like a treasure trove of amazing stuff. So this is him working out the ideas. Here's inspirations for different covers that he did based on Jack Kirby designs and artwork, and him working out different cover ideas for the full cover. And here's a Norman Rockwell painting of astronauts that he used for the Fantastic Four image over here. We get some sample pages, and all this is in the writing as far as like what he's pulling from different things. Here's that painting I talked about earlier, and you can see it on the actual, behind Johnny Storm up here, on their actual wall in their headquarters. Trying to see some more great stuff. There's like so much in here that I absolutely love. I even love, so Johnny Storm's even wearing this classic t-shirt they had that Marvel sold back in the 60s. So there's like so many Easter eggs throughout here that when I was reading the back matter, it's like, I think I grew even more appreciation for the original story, seeing the things that he's playing with throughout here. I'm going to try to not read through every single page, but just like the character designs and the faces that he's homaging to directly from different runs. And it's not just the Jack Kirby run. He's pulling from the John Buscema run, from, I think there's some Neil Adams in here, and some Jim Steranko inspirations in here as well. Here's the blacklight poster I was referring to. It's based on this splash page, but then they made a blacklight poster of it, and then Alex Ross homaged it, so you see kind of the progression there. Go through there. Here's the main character from this monster, and how his motif plays into certain things, like this guy's costume in here. This military group of soldiers here, Alex Ross designed their entire uniforms based on this one little image from this cover. Where is it? Let me see. Is it this? Is he in here? I'm trying to see it. He's just like a little image. Sorry, I'm coming in. Oh, there it is. This little panel right here. This guy, this little soldier guy. He zoomed in on him and then designed these costumes based off of that. This character, is it? Oh, right here. So here's a splash page of this alternate universe Fantastic Four. And this girl right here was designed based off this one cover that Steranko did for this Comic and Fantasy Fair. Like, it's amazing that he's pulling these different things. This character right here, he talks about how Spock was inspiring this character from Star Trek fame. He used because he does a lot of sculpting for his figures too, which is great for lighting and things that artists do sometimes. I know Richard Corbin did that a lot. And he said the face that he sculpted for our main antagonist here was actually a same sculpt that he used for some Hulk drawings that Alex Ross had done in the past. Here's this panel that he's homaging in this panel right here. So we're getting full on like inspirations things here. Here's some more of those Kirby paintings that we pointed out. Here's an image of Valeria in Valeria's bedroom, but Franklin Richards isn't there well. And like just little homage pieces in here in the background, like the Impossible Man's up here, like an elf on the shelf type deal. And like these stuffed animals are inspired by certain things. The painting here with Spider-Man meeting Valeria. Like there's so many little Easter eggs in here that are all spelled out for you in here throughout Alex Ross's things. So now we're getting to the process of how he puts this book together. Here's all the thumbnails that he works through for the whole story. Thumbnails the whole thing. So he kind of works it in Marvel method, even though he's writing and drawing it. Marvel method was where where Stanley would give like a brief synopsis of the story, give it to the artist, and the artist would lay out and draw the entire issue, and Stanley would go back and add the dialogue in. So that's kind of what Alex Ross is doing with these thumbnails, which I think he says these are real true to size, which is amazing to me. Yeah, this is true to size. So this is the size of the thumbnail he's working with is on this page. And we're seeing like how detailed his thumbnails are. These are thumbnails, if you're not familiar, just like quick sketches that the artist does to basically get the compositions and layouts of the panels and the page layouts together to make sure that they're going to work in that way. But he's working such tight thumbnails. Like, I can't believe like the process that he goes through. Like, this is the great picture of the Nios that I talked about earlier. Like, it's no wonder that these work so well on the final page when you see how tight his thumbnails are. Because then here's some reference that he's using. So you see that this is Alex Ross himself posing for this image. He uses a lot of reference. And a lot of this reference that he's using is for photographs that he takes himself. He doesn't go online. I think he even talks about this. Like, he doesn't like going online and going through Google image search and searching for reference that way. He likes to take the photographs himself, whether it be him or his friends in these certain poses, and then use those as reference so that he can get the lighting right. Here's sculpts that he made, which when I saw these sculpts, I was like, why, how is there not been an action figure company that has like just used these as exact sculpts from Alex Ross's designs? You don't even have to, a lot of action figures will be made based off of comic book art, but literally they have the sculpts right here. They just get Alex Ross's permission and things, but I digress on that. So he'll be able to pose these figures and these sculpts in different ways to get the lighting perfectly for his art, which is brilliant that he does. Like, he goes to that level of process. So here's his pencils. You can see his title lettering there. And we have every page of his pencils in here. Every single page. You can go back and compare and contrast each page to the final art with his pencils. Just amazing stuff. And you see how tight his pencils are. You'll see artists work in different ways where their pencils are pretty loose, and the inking stage is where they do a lot of the drawing. But these pencils are good enough to read. Like, you can put lettering on top of these pages and read this just like this with no problem. These are such tight pencils, and they're beautiful to see. But that's not all. Because once we get through all the pencils of all 64 pages, we then get to the inking stage. Here's the inking process with a little blurb about what the inking process looks like. And now we get every inked page. So you can literally go through and compare pencils, inks, and full color, full finished page to these. You can see the amount of drawing that he's still doing on top of the pencils, the tight pencils. He's still doing with the inks. Just absolutely amazing stuff. This is like an artist edition mixed with the full process. Again, I just love that Anilos picture. That 2-page spread is brilliant. And this picture of the horror show with all these different monsters and things, just amazing stuff. I can't express enough how much I love the story. But then after the ink pages, we get to the color guides. So you can see that he had someone, I think it was Josh Johnson, let me see, that was doing the coloring with him. Oh, is it right here? Okay, here we go. Josh Johnson's credited with colors with him. Because what Alex Ross to do, and he explains this, would be he'd go through and paint the color guides for Josh Johnson to go in and finish. And he would want Josh Johnson to push it even further because he's really going for this blacklight look. Like, this could be a blacklight poster. A lot of these pages in this book could be blacklight posters, and they'd be amazing. And then here's Full Circle and then some. So after Full Circle is done, Alex Ross says that he thought he was done with the Fantastic Four. He thought he would, be done with the characters, never work on them again. But then Tom Brevoort, I love this image too. This is totally a Kirby-esque drawing from Alex Ross. Tom Brevoort said, how would you feel about doing the covers for these? Because over the last few years, Alex Ross, he did all the covers for the title Mortal Hulk run. He did all the covers for, I think it was Ta-Nehisi Coates' Captain America run. So then when Ryan North was doing Fantastic Four, Alex Ross started doing all the covers for him. And he said, as long as we can go to my suits that I designed, with my logo I designed, and we give it my own title lettering treatment. He wanted it to be a full package, which I love that. I love when a run of comics has different covers from one artist, one singular artist, that fits this kind of motif, and the whole comic book is a full package that way. A run I always cite in that regard is like the Doom Patrol run by Grant Morrison, when Simon Bisley was doing a lot of the covers for that run. He wasn't the interior artist, but his covers would bring a lot to it. Or Sandman has another good one with Dave McKean, his covers. So here's all the covers that he's done with the Ryan North Fantastic Four run are included in here too. These full oversized pages, just amazing stuff. Like really, this is Alex Ross's totally the best point of his career as far as his artwork goes, hands down in my opinion. And here's some acknowledgments, and that's it. That's it. This book has so much in it. I can't believe it. But you have to pick this up. If you're a fan of Fantastic Four, if you're a fan of Alex Ross, if you're a fan of Marvel Comics, if you're a creative, especially in the comic book realm, if you're an artist or writer or something, you want a lot of good process in there, or if you're a fan of good art, totally fits into your pocket of any of those, or your bucket of any of those fandoms. I can't express enough how great this book is, though. It's one of my favorite books I own in my collection for sure. And thank you for Organic Price Books for sending me out this review copy. Please give the video a thumbs up. Comment below if you haven't already. Subscribe below if you haven't already. And keep talking comics.